Divine Revelation. 7 Miraculous Reasons for Lacking Motivation After Your Sacred Awakening. In the heart of an ancient English village, where the whispers of faithful pilgrims dance on autumn winds, Mary found herself standing on the edge of something extraordinary, a revelation that could change everything. It was a crisp Thursday evening when she attuned her heart for divine guidance, her spirit yearning for clarity amid the shadows of doubt that had recently taken residence within her. As she contemplated St. Edward's Church, an enigmatic presence flickered in the air, thick with possibility. Could this be a sign? Was she truly alive in the throes of a sacred awakening? Amid the warm embrace of her prayer group every week, led by the gentle and wise Pastor Thomas, the air was always rich with the scent of steeped tea and sweet biscuits. Each gathering felt like a communion of souls seeking understanding, yet Mary's heart grew heavy under the weight of 7 miraculous struggles. As testimonies flowed, it became clear that her spiritual malaise had woven itself into the fabric of shared human experience. Mary began recognizing lingering doubts as whispers disguised as friends, questions challenging her faith like stormy clouds overhead. She felt adrift, burdened by the expectations of a loving family who meant well but couldn't fathom the depths of her awakening. One fateful Thursday, as a tempest roared outside and rain lashed against the stained glass, Mary took a moment to share her desperate prayer, "Lord, grant me clarity." And then, in a heartbeat that seemed to stretch into eternity, a vision enveloped her. The room dimmed and St. Michael, the revered protector, radiated a brilliant light. With a gentle grip, he clasped her hand, instilling within her an unshakable peace. "Your battles weave the tale of your faith, dear Mary," he said, his voice a melodic thunder. In that sacred moment, clarity washed over her, revealing a narrative entwined with her village's very essence. Pastor Thomas and the prayer group sat in rapt silence, eyes wide with awe and suspicion. The villagers could feel a tremor of excitement ripple through the community as Mary recounted her miraculous encounter. Hope ignited among them, stirring a newfound fervor for shared prayer. But just as quickly as the flames of faith surged, obstacles began to loom, testing the resolve of the newfound congregation. An old friend steeped in cynicism raised challenges that pierced Mary's heart like icy daggers. "What do you really believe, Mary?" he posed with an unsettling calmness. The tension pulled tighter as whispers of doubt gnawed beneath her skin, threatening to extinguish the fire lit by her vision. "Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Amid swirling doubts and uncertainties, Mary stood at a sacred crossroads. Each heartbeat drummed a battle song, faith or fear, divine calling or familial duty. The pastor's words echoed in her mind, urging her to embrace the tension. Mary drew trembling breaths, her heart on fire for all she had glimpsed through St. Michael's eyes. Yet shadows threatened to suffocate her spirit. As the howling winds echoed outside, frustration bubbled deep within her. Would she cower in the face of doubt? Or would she take her first bold step into the unknown, whispering her divine testimony to a watching world? With trembling hands and a breathless heart, Mary prepared herself for the fight of her life. The next chapter of awakening hung tantalizingly before her, cloaked in mystery. What awaited her on this sacred journey? Only time would unveil the path before her, a path laced with hope and possibility. The rain drummed relentlessly against the church roof, a soothing rhythm that contrasted with the storm in Mary's heart. She stood before her prayer group, her mind swirling with the echoes of her friend's question. It hovered like a shadow, casting a pall over her newfound hope. What did she truly believe? Pastor Thomas noted her inner conflict, his gentle eyes searching her face. "Faith is not the absence of doubt, Mary," he said softly, his voice wrapping around her like the warmth of a loved one's embrace. "It's about persevering through the uncertainties." His words sparked a flicker of light within her, urging her to reclaim her narrative. With a deep breath, Mary spoke. "I saw St. Michael," she began, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. "He held my hand and spoke truths that transcended my fears." The group leaned forward, rapt with attention, The burden of her struggle began to lift as warmth radiated through her being, the connection among them palpable. But doubts still linger, she added, a candid revelation layering her testimony. Her openness was met with understanding, nods confirming her feelings as shared experiences. One member, a kind and thoughtful soul named Eliza, stepped into the conversation. We all face doubts, even those of us who've walked our paths longer, she said softly. What matters is where we turn when they come. Relief washed over Mary like a wave of fresh rain. They weren't alone in this battle. They were companions in a journey that had no singular destination. As the gathering continued, a powerful energy enveloped the room. There were moments of silence, punctuated only by soft tears and whispered prayers. Together they lifted their hearts and minds to the heavens, seeking divine affirmation. Suddenly a profound stillness settled over them. An unearthly light cascaded through the stained glass, illuminating the dusty corners of the church. In that sacred hush, Mary felt a powerful presence, a connection not bound by earthly concerns but soaring higher, promising hope. In her heart, she understood that this wasn't just about her struggles. It was woven into a larger tapestry of faith that stretched across generations. Our stories are all threads in God's hands, she thought, feeling emboldened. Together, they create a masterpiece far beyond what we can see. Emboldened by this newfound understanding, Mary turned to face her old friend, now standing silently at the back of the room. His expression softened, skepticism giving way to curiosity. Mary, he began hesitantly, if what you say is true, how do we know we are truly following God? His question hung heavy in the air, echoing the doubts of many hearts. The others in the group glanced at each other, uncertainty flickering before the light of shared truth. Taking a deep breath, Mary felt an anointing strength within her. This was her moment. We know by how we love, how we share our journeys, and how we allow God's light to shine through our shadows, she proclaimed, each word gaining power. Faith is not blind. It's seen in our actions and our hearts. As murmurs of agreement filled the air, Mary felt the light around her pulsing with divine energy. Hope ignited again, brighter than ever. They were no longer just individuals. They were a community, bound by faith and the desire to seek God amidst doubts. Yet, even with this uplifting moment, the path ahead remained shrouded in mystery and challenge. What awaited Mary and her companions in the days to come? A whisper of anxiety fluttered in her gut. Were they prepared to face the trials ahead, to stand firm against the waves of doubt? Amid the ever-changing landscape of faith, one question lingered in her heart like a distant bell tolling. What was God calling her to do next? The answer seemed tantalizingly close yet impossibly far, leaving her fraught with anticipation. In the stillness that followed, Mary felt a stir deep within her soul. As if the air in the room thickened with expectancy, she caught the eye of Pastor Thomas. His gaze encouraged her to keep speaking, to delve deeper into the heart of their gathering. Perhaps, Mary mused aloud, the challenge we face isn't just about the doubts but also about the call that follows. A flicker of realization sparked among the group, igniting murmurs of agreement, each voice threading their unique understanding into the tapestry they were weaving together. Eliza spoke again, her voice a quiet strength. Every sacred awakening can lead to a season of confusion. It's like waking from a dream, trying to piece together what is real. We need grace to navigate this new path. Her words resonated with deep truth, bringing a clarity that soothed the collective anxiety in the room. With hearts now open, they began sharing their experiences since that moment of divine encounter, struggles to translate spiritual awakenings into everyday action, fears that threatened to drown out the light they just discovered. Mary listened, her own struggles echoed in their stories, and she found comfort in their shared journey. Sometimes it feels like a storm rages within us, she said thoughtfully, like we've been called into a vast ocean, but our feet still struggle to find solid ground. The imagery hung in the air, inviting others to reflect. One young man, Jake, spoke up, his voice tinged with vulnerability. I thought awakening would bring certainty, but it's left me feeling more lost at times. His honesty touched them all. Yes, the allure of clarity was powerful, but the truth often painted a messier picture. Mary felt inspired, recognizing a sacred opportunity to guide this sacred moment. And that's exactly where we need to lean in, she encouraged, her tone passionate. God doesn't expect us to have it all figured out right away. It's in these moments of uncertainty where we can grow closer to Him. A wave of understanding spread through their circle. Pastor Thomas nodded in affirmation. It's in our willingness to wrestle with these questions that our faith deepens. God meets us in our messy, uncertain journeys and transforms them into His purpose. As the dialogue flowed, a warmth settled around them, and tears were freely shed, each drop a testament to their struggles and the healing power of vulnerability. The church felt alive, each spirit lifting in shared empathy, and the promise of God's unfailing grace. Hours melted away as they prayed together, their words rising like incense, offering praises and supplications entwined. Every heart laid bare was both an echo of struggle and a pledge of faith, a beautiful synchronicity harmonizing in the sacred space. In a moment of stillness, Mary glanced again at the stained glass. The light filtering through seemed to shift, coloring the world in hues of hope. At that instant, she felt a tug, an urge to seek deeper understanding, to step beyond her comfort zone and embrace whatever God desired of her. What if, she wondered softly aloud, each of these obstacles is simply a doorway, leading us further into a life transformed by love? The question lingered in the air, resonating deeply. As one by one their spirits began to reflect on this prospect, Mary sensed a collective heartbeat, a growing excitement for the next steps. They had moved from a place of mere questioning to a realm of divine possibility. But just as hope surged like a rushing tide, an unsettling thought brushed past her mind. Was she prepared to embrace this potential call? What would it mean to act on the awakening stirring deep within? As the evening light dimmed, leaving only the soft glow of candles, Mary felt that familiar flutter of divine mystery and invitation wrapped in uncertainty. What lay ahead? What journey awaited them, if they dared to step through those doors? And with that question, the air thickened again, pregnant with promise, leaving them all suspended on the edge of revelation. Silence enveloped the room as the last echo of Mary's question faded away. It hung there like a gentle mist, wrapping around each heart in the circle of trust. The candle flames flickered softly, a dance of light amidst the gathering shadows. As if they sensed the weight of the moment, Pastor Thomas broke the silence, his voice steady yet filled with warmth. What would it look like to lean into this uncertainty? To trust not just in the call but in the process itself? His question seemed to awaken another layer of contemplation. Eliza, still reflecting, raised a finger to her chin as she pondered. I think we often fear that we should have clarity, but maybe clarity can come in waves, like the tide sometimes retreating, sometimes surging forth. Her analogy resonated deeply, echoing the very essence of their discussions. Mary felt a stirring within. Exactly, maybe our difficulty in committing to action post-awakening can be understood as preparation. The air thickened again, charged with understanding. We aren't only called to act. We are called to prepare our hearts for action. This waiting period could be a time of refinement. She observed as their eyes widened with insight. Some nodded in agreement, while others scribbled notes, maybe to capture the light of revelation seeping into their understanding. Each revelation felt like a gift, an insight that danced upon their souls, threading deeper connection to one another and, more importantly, to the divine. Jake spoke up again, his voice breaking slightly. But what happens if we feel the call but don't know where to start? How do we combat the disillusionment that sometimes creeps in? Great question, Mary nodded, her heart swelling with compassion. It's normal to feel that way. Even the most steadfast believers have seasons where doubt tries to overshadow hope. It's part of the journey and it doesn't define your faith. It's merely a chapter. A collective breath released, and it felt like a sigh of relief, a message of grace that washed over them gently. The confession of struggle welcomed them into a deeper embrace of shared humanity, each reflecting fragments of one another's experiences. Pastor Thomas leaned into the moment, his voice passionate and poignant. Those can be our greatest teachers. In uncertainty, we often find the fuel to keep searching, keep seeking. It's okay to stumble, it's okay to waver. Remember Peter walking on water? He faltered but still reached out to grasp the hand of Jesus. His eyes glimmered with both wisdom and tenderness. This stirred Mary's heart. That's it, isn't it? When we falter, we can reach for him in the wave of doubts. We still have the anchor of our faith. Tears surfaced in the eyes of some, as the sacred space of shared testimony illuminated the dark corners where fear usually hid. The gentle hum of the congregation wrapped around them, a choir of spirits willing to embrace their collective journey. They stepped deeper into the honesty of their faith, weaving together stories of struggle and grace, resilience and weakness. Mary's heart raced as a new revelation blossomed in her thoughts. What if she whispered, bringing their attention back? What if our moments of inaction hold a purpose, a season of being still? What if they prepare us for something beyond our understanding? The candles flickered again, casting dancing shadows as her questions settled into the depths of their hearts. They were all still charged with potential. Just when they thought they had explored the depths of uncertainty, another layer revealed itself. A feeling of unity pulsed through the room. They were not alone, each of them carrying pieces of a divine puzzle, calling them into action at just the right moment. And as the evening deepened, Mary realized she was no longer just waiting for clarity, she was eagerly seeking the next steps. Where would their collective journey lead? The air thickened with anticipation once more. What divine appointment awaited them? What new revelation was God preparing to unveil? The church sighed, feeling both the weight and joy of the unfolding mystery. The stillness stretched as they collectively embraced the uncharted territory before them, each heartbeat in rhythm, anxious yet eager, as Mary felt the pull of an unseen thread wrapping around their spirits. It was an invitation to plunge deeper into the mystery that God was weaving through their lives. Pastor Thomas cleared his throat, eyes sparkling like the candles around them. Let us take a moment. Close your eyes. Picture yourself walking through your life, feeling the gentle pull of God's hand guiding you. What do you see? A hush fell over the room. Breaths turned slower, calmer as they followed his lead. In the darkness behind their eyelids, faces softened, shoulders eased. Mary felt a swell of wonder at the vulnerability around her. At that moment, each brought forth their own vision, a ripple of color, a flicker of hope, some glimpsing their fears transformed into courage. Jake was the first to break the silence, his voice a whisper. I saw a road winding and uncertain, but there was light up ahead. His honesty radiated like warmth in winter. You know, Eliza interjected, holding on to that shared moment of revelation. Light. It's not just about seeing clearly. Sometimes it's about illuminating the next step just enough for us to take it. Like the Israelites following the cloud by day and the fire by night. Mary felt a thrill course through her as Eliza spoke. It was true. God often leads us in ways we don't fully comprehend. The flicker of their flames mirrored the flicker of these new insights, lighting up their joined destinies. Pastor Thomas nodded, drawing them in closer. The uncertainty often feels like a void. But friends, it is a sacred promise, a development of faith, an alchemy of preparation, if you will. When the soil of our spirits is tilled, it creates space for something new to take root. Tension released into the shared air. The acknowledgement that they were being cultivated, pruned, molded, perhaps even in a time of stillness. Mary's heart soared. So, these moments we feel stagnant or lost, they could be divine pauses? A time to gather strength? Absolutely, Pastor Thomas affirmed, his voice resonating with conviction. Each of us is a vessel undergoing transformation. It's not just about filling it with purpose, but emptying ourselves of fear. Trust in the process. A wave of understanding washed over them, each nodding subtly, as if accepting a hidden truth that had long remained shy. The revelation lifted expectations, knowing they weren't alone in their experiences. Think of it this way, Mary proposed, the thoughts bubbling forth from her core. What if our unmotivated moments are God's way of calling us back to Him? Back to the hearts He loves, our hearts. The idea spread throughout the circle, igniting eager murmurs. Their words became a chorus of shared acknowledgement, each revealing the intimate dance of their journeys. Then there's beauty in the waiting, Jake exclaimed, a smile breaking over his face. Even in the stillness, God is forming us, shaping our desires and leading us toward an invitation to grow. The atmosphere grew electric, a palpable faith igniting amidst this gathering. They were alive, no longer mired in self-doubt. Each seemed to resonate with purpose anew, as if summoned by the will of heaven. The candle flames flickered with greater intensity, casting shadows that seemed to sway with the heartbeat of their communion. Hope surged through the room like a tidal wave. But just as the moment felt full, a single question hung in the air, shimmering and divine. What awaits us beyond this season of stillness? Eyes widened at the wondrous and weighty thought, hearts pounding with curiosity about God's unfolding invitation. Where would they go from here with new revelations on their lips? The promise of what was to come lay heavy in the atmosphere, hovering like the embrace of a nurturing cloud. As they collectively held their breath, what would be unveiled next? Mary blinked slowly as the weight of that question settled on her, filling her heart with both trepidation and excitement. The air thrummed with expectation, a symphony of eager souls ready for what God might reveal. They had shared their fears, their hopes, and the pain of their stillness. Now they were poised at the edge of revelation. Pastor Thomas leaned forward, his voice a gentle yet powerful guide in the hush. It's no accident we gather here tonight. Every soul bears the imprint of divine purpose. Our waiting isn't wasted time. It's a sacred preparation. Just think, friends, what if those moments of inactivity are actually a gestation period for our spirits? Eliza, filled with newfound fire, continued, like seeds buried in darkness, unseen yet alive, waiting for the right conditions to burst forth. We could be on the brink of blossoming into something more. We could encounter a divine intervention if we lean into this sacred waiting. There was a collective gasp, a wave of understanding washing over the circle. Every heart seemed to beat as one, tapping into that sacred truth. Each of their lives contained both struggle and glory, intertwined like sun and shadow. I believe we're being called to examine the reasons behind our reluctance, Jake suggested, his eyes bright as he spoke. What if this stillness, this lack of motivation, is a gift? An opportunity to embrace God's presence in deeper ways? A ripple of agreement washed over them, each one reflective, wrestling with the notion. Could it be that their so-called stagnation was a divine signal? Mary felt a soft embarrassment over her previous frustrations. Perhaps God was up to something far more profound than she had ever imagined. Pastor Thomas smiled warmly, nodding at their spirited discussion. Yes, perhaps it's a mirror reflecting the shadows in our hearts. We can ask ourselves what fears hold us back, what desires lie dormant. When we look deeper, we can release what keeps us shackled. Fear, yes. Mary interjected, her spirit ignited. What if fear is the invisible wall that prevents us from stepping into the light of God's promise? We often fear change, the unknown, or even failure. Or what if we fear success? Eliza added, her voice thoughtful. Sometimes it can feel safer to remain in the familiar shadows than to step boldly into the light of everything God has for us. Their voices echoed in the stillness, each revelation building, creating a tapestry woven with faith. Together they shared stories of the fears they carried: failure, inadequacy, the risk of dreaming big. Each story tied them closer, an understanding bond blossoming among them. As the candle flames danced, shadows flickered across the walls like ghosts from their past, reminding them of their journeys, of the moments of doubt that led them to this sacred space. It was powerful indeed, for each one felt the promise of growth, a chance to redefine their narratives. I can feel God nudging us toward freedom, Jake whispered, awe threading his words. Could our hesitation lead us to his plan, where our stillness transforms into powerful action? Like Moses parting the seas, we just need the courage to step forth. They fell into a moment of silence, sensing the weight of what was unfolding. In the quiet, the anticipation grew thick in the room, charged with hope. It was as if heaven itself were leaning in, preparing them for the next chapter of their divine journey. But then, amid the serenity, an unsettling thought bubbled forth. What if our breakthrough awaits us outside these walls? Mary pondered aloud, her heart racing. The question bounced from soul to soul, igniting whispers of fervent curiosity. What must we do to embrace it? How will we recognize it? With every heartbeat they stood ready, at a precipice of potential. The air shimmered with unspoken possibilities, leaving each one to wonder what awaited them beyond their collective stillness. What mysteries would unfold? What revelation was around the corner, waiting to illuminate their paths? The flickering candlelight cast a warm glow, mingling with the weight of the unanswered question that lingered in the air. Mary could feel the hearts around her thumping in shared anticipation. Their lives, once solitary threads, felt woven together into something more beautiful than she could have imagined. Maybe, Pastor Thomas began, his voice calming yet filled with passion, maybe our waiting isn't just about us. What if it's a divine tapestry? Every moment of stillness allows God to gather others into this journey of transformation. Like a choir waiting for the conductor's signal to begin, Eliza offered, her eyes alight with inspiration. Each note, each silence captures the essence of hope. When we finally join our voices, the harmony could be heavenly. Yes, Jake chimed, his excitement building. And we are the instruments. Each of us plays a role. What if waiting is our preparation, tuning us for something greater? Mary felt her heart swell at the thought. They weren't simply waiting, they were being readied. Suddenly she envisioned the sacred moments each of them had offered, sacrifices, prayers, the tears shed in longing. It defined their collective journey and sparked a question beyond the immediate. How do we step beyond the walls then? She asked. The room simmered with contemplation. We have to confront our fears, don't we? Not just acknowledge them but face them like David against Goliath. Each nodding head was a solemn agreement, yet the weight of the challenge loomed large. What would it take to move from whispers to action? What would it mean to embrace the unknown? The thought sparked another revelation. What if we wrote down our fears? Put them in front of us where we can see them clearly, she suggested. Speak them out loud. Expose the shadows. Could that take away their power? Or transform them? Jake replied softly. Fear held in silence grows stronger. Spoken truths have a way of unraveling the lies we tell ourselves. In that moment, an electric pulse hovered in the air. The divine mystery wrapped around their circle, creating an expectancy too vivid to ignore. They began to mull over which fears to voice first. I fear. Eliza hesitated, her vulnerability cracking the surface of her resolve. I fear I won't be enough. What if I'm not strong enough to take on this next chapter of my life? Her admission hung in the air, echoing loudly and softening heart walls around the room. Each person felt their own insecurities reflected in that moment. One by one, like waves at the shore, they began to voice the fears that had shackled them: fear of judgment, fear of change, fear of starting anew. As if guided by an unseen hand, they shifted from vulnerability to declaration, proclaiming their battles to be fought and won. We are more than our doubts, Pastor Thomas proclaimed, each word resonating with spiritual truth. The energy transformed, hope filling the gaps once lined with fear. The candlelight seemed to grow brighter, illuminating the faces around him. With each fear shared, we create space for God to act. Isn't that what a breakthrough feels like? The venue grew thick with hope. They felt an awakening, unity coursing like a river among them. But Mary's voice cut through the joy. How will we recognize his call when it comes? What if we miss what S meant for us? That question lingered, reverberating like a bell struck in the quiet. They had stepped from the comfort of words to the rawness of possibilities, yet the path ahead remained shrouded in divine light and mystery. Their collective anticipation swelled, blending their hearts into a singular prayer. What miraculous revelations awaited them out there? And what sacred steps would they need to take to honor the journey God had laid before them? As the candlelight flickered, reflecting their own inner spark, the sense of the unknown wrapped around them like a warm embrace. The time for action was drawing near, yet they still stood at a threshold of uncharted territories. What awaited them beyond their stillness? What were the divine purposes ready to manifest? The air crackled with potential, and they could not help but wonder what the next chapter held for their journey together. The atmosphere thickened with unspoken possibilities as the flickering candlelight seemed to dance in rhythm with their hearts. Mary felt a surge of excitement rising within her. They were no longer just individuals sharing fears. They were a community poised on the brink of discovery. What awaited them felt vast and profound. As we face our fears together, we must also seek clarity, Pastor Thomas said, his voice steady yet inviting. What would our next right step be? What if the answer lies in our unity? Eliza's eyes brightened. Perhaps we should share our dreams too. As we expose our fears, we can also uplift our hopes. Jake nodded vigorously, his fingers tapping the table excitedly. Yes, what if each of our dreams speaks to the divine potential within us? Collectively, we might find the courage to act. A sense of energy enveloped them as the idea took root. Each member in the circle reflected on their own dreams, allowing their minds to roam the paths of aspirations long held in silence. I dream of. Eliza began, hesitating for only a moment before pushing through the barrier of vulnerability once more. I dream of inspiring others through my art. I want my paintings to touch souls and ignite hope. I dream of creating a community garden, Jake added, lifting his chin a little higher. one that provides for those in need and brings people together. Mary felt her heart race. It was time to share her own dreams, the visions God had placed within her. I dream of helping children discover joy in learning. I want to create a space where they can feel valued and cherished. The words flowed like a murmured prayer, each sound a pledge to the future they were building together. Some candid, others tentative. Yet each declaration shimmered with purpose and intent. Pastor Thomas raised his hands, encouraging quiet reflection. Each dream is like a seed planted in God's garden. If we nurture them together, imagine the beauty that will blossom. A soft gasp echoed from one of the women in the circle, her eyes glistening with tears. Are we truly called to cultivate these dreams, even amidst our fears? With a gentle nod, Pastor Thomas replied, yes. Our fears don't diminish our dreams. They can actually propel us toward them. We are meant to grow through our struggles. The energy shifted once more as the group embraced this duality of struggle and aspiration. Mary felt as if invisible roots were binding them together, drawing from a shared source of strength. And yet, she added softly, can we truly step out without fear of what lies ahead? How can we trust the call when we can't predict the path? Faith, Jake said with quiet conviction. Faith is believing without seeing. Every step into the unknown is a step into God's plan. We may not see the road, but we will hold each other up. The warmth of agreement swept through the circle again, their unity creating a shield against doubt. Each spirit resonated with courage, inviting divine presence to fill the spaces between them. As the candlelight flickered one last time, the warmth caught the edges of their smiles, illuminating the anticipation in their eyes. They were ready to step into the sacred unknown, ready to confront whatever awaited them. Yet, a whisper of uncertainty lingered in the air. Would their courage be enough to sustain their dreams in the face of adversity? What trials would emerge as they walked this path together? The flickering flames reminded them that, just like the light, they might face darkness ahead, but together, they could shine even brighter. With hopeful hearts, they leaned into the divine mystery awaiting their next steps, sensing a journey unfolding just beyond their grasp. What awaited them on this path of faith? Would the next turn bring clarity or a deeper mystery? The atmosphere thrummed with questions, and the candlelight flickered, echoing their unspoken hopes. The circle was awash in a sacred silence, a profound stillness that seemed to usher in divine presence. Mary glanced around the faces illuminated by the soft glow of the candles. Each of them looked hopeful yet attuned to the weight of challenge ahead. It was clear that a shared understanding had begun to take root. Their collective journey was about to unfurl. Let us take a moment to pray, Pastor Thomas suggested gently. The words wrapped around them like a comforting blanket, inviting everyone deeper into the sacred space. They bowed their heads and Mary closed her eyes, focusing on the rhythm of her breath. She envisioned each of their dreams interwoven like a tapestry, threaded with faith and courage. Lord, she whispered, help us to see the beauty in our struggles. Guide us as we walk this path together, and fill our hearts with peace amidst the uncertainty. A deep sense of connection swept through the group. When Pastor Thomas concluded the prayer, he looked out at each of them, his gaze intentional. We have nurtured our fears and dreams, but we must also prepare for what God may ask of us. Sacrifice often accompanies purpose. Eliza, still wrapped in the reverence of prayer, looked up. Are we ready to give up part of ourselves for our dreams? Jake, sensing the weight of her question, answered carefully, sometimes it feels daunting, but I see that where the growth happens, walking away from what we know can lead us to what we've always longed for. Yes, Eliza exclaimed, her voice filling the space with energy. What if we embrace the unknown? The fear doesn't have to paralyze us. It can empower us. Mary felt a spark ignite within her. Our commitment to this vision transcends our fear, she declared, her voice steady. If we stand tall in faith, we can create ripples of change. Even the darkest night cannot snuff out the stars. Pastor Thomas smiled, affirming her insight. Exactly. The divine often reveals itself in the moments we least expect it. Let us remember that God's dreams for us may look different than our own. Are we ready to seek His direction even when it diverges from our plans? The group sat for a moment absorbing this. The flicker of candlelight danced, as if responding to their thoughts. Jake broke the silence. But what if we can't clearly hear God's direction? How do we know if we're on the right path? With persistence and prayer, Mary replied, her heart racing with the truth. We push against the obstacles, leaning into our community. Each prayer we utter, each dream we share, draws us closer to understanding His purpose for us. The room erupted with a chorus of murmurs. Yes, amen. Absolutely. Each word swayed like trees in a gentle breeze, reverberating in collective faith. Pastor Thomas looked around the circle, filled with the warmth of unity. What if our next step is to share a tangible act of faith? Something that embodies our dreams and ignites our commitment? There was a humming anticipation in the air. We could hold a community event, Eliza suggested, her voice dripping with excitement. Showcase our art, share our ideas, and inspire one another. Mary's heart leapt as visions of gatherings filled her mind. What if we open our doors and invite others in? Let them see the beauty of our dreams and the strength of our unity. As they began to brainstorm, the energy became palpable. They were no longer contained within their previous fears. Hope kindled a fire in their spirits, and every suggestion brought them closer to the realization of their collective vision. Yet, deep inside, a whisper of uncertainty remained. What lies beyond this first step? What will happen if we fail? The thought hung heavily, an unwelcome shadow on their bright ideas. But as they shared their hopes, prayed, and imagined the possibilities, a flicker of calm spread through the group. Their faith became a fortress against doubt. The lamps flickered one last time, as if urging them on. Together they embraced the mystery of the journey ahead, each one of them daring to leap into the unknown. What awaited them as they ventured one step further into their initiative? Would God's plan unfold like an open door? Or might they encounter unexpected storms? The question simmered in the air like a fresh promise, inviting them to remain vigilant and expectant. The dawn broke gently over the ancient English village, casting warm rays through the stained glass of St. Edward's Church. Inside, Mary sat with her prayer group, a serene sense enveloping them, a silent acknowledgement of both their shared journey and the beautiful potential ahead. The trials they had faced together had molded their spirits, transforming fear into courage, uncertainty into resolute hope. Pastor Thomas stood among them, a quiet beacon of wisdom. Friends, we have prayed, shared, and bared our spirits. Today we embark on the path of action, he said with conviction. The air vibrated with anticipation, each participant aware of the sacred task before them. Let today be not just an acknowledgement of our dreams, but a dedication to manifest them. What are we willing to sacrifice for the larger vision God is calling us towards? Mary felt her heart quicken. The commitment rested heavily on their shoulders, yet it was lightened by the collective strength pulsing through the group. They were no longer just bearers of fear but champions of purpose. This day would mark a turning point, a divine reckoning transforming their aspirations into reality. Eliza glanced around, her eyes sparkling with resolve. I want to ignite hope through my art. Let us create a festival, a showcase where we share our dreams and uplift our community. Her suggestion met uproarious agreement. Ideas began pouring out like the gentle rain of summer. Each voice echoed like a prayer, weaving together plans for their dreams, each as unique as the vibrant colors in a sunrise. Let us invite local artists, musicians, and even the children. Jake chimed in, enthusiasm bubbling in his tone. It could be a day that celebrates everyone's impact. As ideas flowed, Mary felt the wonder of possibility spread across the gathering, stitching their hearts closer with each shared thought. They were united, not just in their faith but in a collective mission. We need this to be an outpouring of love, Mary said, her voice rising with passion. Let our dreams breathe life into this village, bring healing, joy, and connection where there has been separation. Her words resonated deeply, igniting a spark in everyone's spirit. Each dream entwined felt undeniably real, as if the intricate threads of their lives were lovingly intertwined by God's hands, leading them into purpose. But just as radiant visions filled the room, a flicker of doubt crept into Mary's heart. What if the world outside their unity was not ready, not receptive? What if their dreams failed? Yet the warmth of the light surrounding them assured her every step now was a seed, destined to blossom. Remember, Pastor Thomas interjected gently, sensing the quiet storm in Mary's mind. Every journey faces unknowns, but we are not alone. In every uncertainty our faith binds us. God holds us, nurturing growth, even in the shadows of fear. Each head nodded, drawing strength from his words. "We lean in together," Eliza affirmed, her voice a soft assurance. "By sharing our struggles we will invite others to share their stories too." Mary reflected on their sacred promise. People needed to see the light they were cultivating. It was time to step out of their cocoon and embrace the world, to allow their dreams to mingle with the breaths of those outside. And so the decision was made, the air electric with purpose. Plans unfolded rapidly, set in motion by the divine energy coursing through them. The festival was more than an event. It became a lighthouse, a beacon of hope calling to all around. Days turned into weeks and the fullness of their collective dreams began to shape. Posters were made and hung. Excitement spread throughout the village. The church radiated warmth, transforming into a hub of creativity, laughter, and devotion. As the day of the festival approached, Mary felt the palpable tension of eagerness and fear entwined. Would it be enough? Would they be received as intended? On that sunny morning the church doors swung open, revealing an outpouring of life. Villagers filled the courtyard, laughter ringing through the air. The festival blossomed before their eyes, vibrant with art displays, community gardens sprouting hope, and children's laughter painting the atmosphere with joy. Mary watched in awe as hearts opened, stories connected. People shared memories, art transformed souls, and the music from local talents lifted spirits higher than the skies. They weren't just sharing dreams. They were welcoming each other into the tapestry of divine purpose. Amidst it all, Mary felt a surge of divine clarity, a profound understanding that this was why they had faced their fears, to lead others toward the light. Their stillness had birthed something transcendent, awakening a mutual recognition of their shared humanness. As the sun dipped low, casting a golden hue, a hush fell over the crowd. That sacred moment, filled with grateful hearts and joyful spirits, beautiful testament to all their hard work, emerged like a wave of love enveloping the village. And that stunning silence, Mary's heart whispered, "Thank you, God." She realized now that every struggle had led her here, each prayer, every encounter a brushstroke in the masterpiece of her journey. They had manifested something truly sacred, a collective dream turned reality, rooted in faith, community, and divine promise. And as dusk settled, a chorus began, voices lifting harmoniously, rising toward the heavens. Each note echoed celebration and devotion, a powerful proclamation of love and faith that would reverberate through the ages. Together, they embraced the uncertainty of what lay ahead, no longer bowing to fear but dancing in the promise of God's unfolding saga. It started as a whisper, turned into a prayer, and blossomed into a lifelong movement. They were a community awakened, ready to face the future, hand in hand, heart in heart. The divine journey was still unfolding, carrying them onward with every breath and beat of their united spirits, an everlasting testament to all that could be achieved when faith was ignited. Now, dear friends, as you witness this miracle of transformation, I urge you, subscribe immediately to this channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let these stories spread like wildfire. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this powerful ending. Your voice matters. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who are in need of seeing this divine manifestation. Remember, only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.